20 years, I reckon I've been waiting for this moment. 20 years since Volkswagen brought out this carrot dangler of a concept, the VW Microbus, and then in 2011, the Bulli concept, all these concepts of a charismatic new version of the Type 2, the split screen van, the thing that everybody knows, the icon. Well, VW started its electric arsenal several years ago with the ID.3 and the ID.4, but the Buzz is the one that everybody wants. I drove the concept of this in 2018 in America. I was fortunate enough to do that. But today I am driving the production-ready version of the all-electric, rear-wheel drive, rear-motored VW Buzz. I'm Jonny Smith. Welcome to the Late Break Show. So ordinarily, when we get offered as journalists what they call pre-production drives, covered drives, I tend not to do them. I tend to wait for the car to be completely finished or to be able to drive it without being chaperoned. But you know, it's different in this situation. This has been such a long time coming, this car, and I think it's the most important VW ID in the range. And the other thing is it allows them to make a car that's quite faithful to the original classic VW Transporter in proportions because of the EV platform, this skateboard MEB style platform. Look how short the overhangs are. There's the end of the wheel, and there's the front of the car. I say car, bus, whatever. It's got such a snub nose, and that's wonderful. We'll put the dimensions on the screen, but this is a shorter car than the Transporter, the T6 Transporter, the Multivan that we know, that you see out and about on the road. Now, I'm not allowed to show you what's behind here. Now, there is no fruit/frunk on this car, but you pop the bonnet, as it were, and this is just a trapdoor that comes down, and it's just your washer fluid and your brake fluid, I think, and that's it. But it was quite neat to see it. Huge Volkswagen badge, really charismatic. And of course, along this line here will be where the two-tone optional paintwork lives. And there'll be, I anticipate there to be loads of interesting paint combinations. So this is special for me, Marcus, because I've owned split screen Volkswagen, I've owned a bay window Type 2. Mm-hmm. I've owned a couple of other VWs over the years. An air-cooled VW was my first vehicle. I feel very precious about having a car like this succeed. I've always wanted an electric people carrier that's boxy, practical, but with the DNA of the iconic, the historical Volkswagens. Mm-hmm. So I'm
finally there.
This is an exciting day. This is an exciting day for me, and I did get to drive the concept of the Buzz in LA. Mm-hmm. And I've always thought, please don't muck it up. Please don't change it too much, VW, because this is sacred ground here. The motor's at the back. Mm-hmm. It's rear-wheel drive. It's got hardly any nose to it at all. In fact, I don't even know if it has got a bonnet. High driving position, van version, which is what I'm driving today, the cargo, and then of course the MPV version is just called the Buzz. Mm-hmm. UK will get deliveries of these in October. Mm-hmm. So this is the standard wheelbase. You'll be able to buy a longer wheelbase, both van and people carrier. Mm. It's slightly wider than a T6, but it's lower in roof and shorter in length. Mm-hmm. There's one battery it launches with. This is the 77 kilowatt hour pack. Correct. And then that's single motor at the moment, rear wheel drive. Mm-hmm. So good. Finally, I get to drive a commercial based Volkswagen that's cutting edge technology, that's got the motor and the drive back there, just like the old days, the good old days of the Type 2. Mm-hmm. Can you remind me the German name for MEB?
It's Modularer Elektrobaukasten.
Baukasten, that's it. So finally we've got an EV van from the VW group that isn't based upon a piston platform. Range in this entry level 77 kilowatt hour pack, which is going to be the launch battery size of, is it
it's more or less 400 kilometers WLTP, and in miles something about 250.
Okay, yeah. And then is there going to be more than one other derivative? Is there going to be a smaller pack like in the ID.3? Is it 48? I'm trying to remember. There's a smaller pack.
There will be a larger and a smaller one for an entry-level price, but it will take some time.
Yes, yeah. So this is the Buzz is going to be built in Hannover.
Yeah,
is that
correct.
Right?
This is hometown of the VW bus is Hannover since more or less 70 years now. 70? Yeah.
Of course, because 1950 is the original Type 2, wasn't it?
1950 was the starting date, and the plant in Hannover was built in 1956. So the first 5 to 6 years, the T1 was built in Wolfsburg, and after this huge success of this car, we built this own plant in Hannover where it's still produced.
Yeah. So we've got manually adjusting steering. It's worth me pointing out that because we're in the cargo, the van, there is an optional 3 abreast seating. So Marcus is in one of the 2 crew chairs. Am I right in thinking that the Buzz MPV is going to be 2 front seats?
Correct.
Only? Yeah. And there's, from memory, like a center console type thing. There certainly was in the concept with like a rail that you could adjust things on with like an iPad type control system.
Correct.
Because I like to be practical, I'm going to reverse it right next to a VW T6 Multivan, all right? To give you an idea of the size difference, that Multivan is 20 centimeters longer than the Buzz. But the Buzz, this one, is slightly wider than that one, okay? This is 20 centimeters longer than a Caddy, 20 centimeters shorter than that. But remember this, you will be able to eventually order one of these in a longer wheelbase. This is standard wheelbase, you will be able to order it as a longer wheelbase. I'm now going to park it next to an ID.3. This is what it looks like next to an ID.3. Because I'm a practical man. This show's all about. So, size comparison number 2. This is the ID.3. It's obviously the first ID in the range to go on sale. Well, this is what it looks like next to that. Sorry, it's going crazy with all of the parking sensors and things. There we go, you see. So you will be able to order this in a longer wheelbase eventually, but at the moment this is the standard wheelbase. You'll be able to order the longer wheelbase in this, the van, the cargo, or the MPV version. You've got this kind of matrix, and although this has got camouflage on it, you can kind of see what the finished vehicle is going to look like. In there you've got the radar there, and you've got the parking sensors and stuff like that, and I'm guessing active flaps for the liquid-cooled battery pack, which lies right in the middle of the floor. You can hear there's a lot of hustle and bustle around because this is Volkswagen's HQ in the UK, in Milton Keynes. So there's lots of people out and about here today. Let's go around here. Conventional mirrors, none of your sort of modern cameras and stuff, so I'm guessing cheaper to replace when they get knocked off. And I don't know if they're going to have optional anything else. 18-inch wheels, and I know that they'll have optional, this is sort of standard 18-inch wheels, optional 19s and 20s. The car that I'm driving has steel wheels with hubcaps. There's going to be lots of different alloys, but I hope they have those really cool steelies that you can get on T6 vans, and I've forgotten the name of them, but they look quite utilitarian, but they work. You remember that when the last edition of the Beetle, when they did a 50, 60, 70 style trim and wheels, some of those wheels would look right on this. Sliding door. Twin sliding doors on this. This is the Buzz version, so this is the people carrier version. The cargo is the one I'm driving today, which is a panel van. So this is a window on the car, on the Buzz, and this is a window as well. You can see the sliding door rail. This is a groove that goes all the way down here. On the concept, this was brushed aluminium, but I don't know if it's going to be on this. It's here. Optional electric double doors, I believe, from memory. The lights wrap around here on this waistline piece. And this is interesting. I don't know if you can see on camera here. If you look down the side of this panel here, it's got these slats which hark back to the louvers of the air-cooled rear-engined flat forward split screen and bay window Type 2s. So that detail is going to be kept. Come round to the back. I really like the back. It's very, very slab-backed. Quite similar to the T6 Transporter compared to the front. Now this is you can tell this is an ID Buzz people carrier because it's got a huge tailgate which hinges up. The cargo version comes as standard as a split boot rear cargo doors that open sideways, and I think that's mostly to put pallets in because it can put 2 European pallets. We are not allowed to video anything inside today of either car, sadly, so we're just getting what we can. Full width bar LED light here, over again, black and white, really big, distinctive, charismatic logo here. I've had a look underneath, because of course, it's rear wheel drive, it's rear motored, just like the ID.3 and 4, and it's totally a flat floor car. I can't see a great deal apart from the independent suspension. You've got a bit of aero here, and there's a bit of aero. There's quite a neat little spoiler actually on the back of the roof, that nice little lip there. Not a lot has changed from the concept. I did open the charger door. I don't think it's open on this one. On the car I drove, this is the charger door, and I believe it's going to be on this side for all of the vehicles. So for us, right-hand drive in the UK, it's going to be on the driver's side. Obviously CCS DC charge as well as Type 2. Up to about 135 kilowatts in terms of speed. It's just simple, isn't it? It's quite a bold, simple shape. It's not overly fussy. Is this going to be the car that reminds people that MPVs are a much better use of space and of a footprint of a car like this than SUVs? You know how I feel about SUVs. I feel like they're a jack of all trades and a master of none. I love the fact that this could rekindle that MPV practical box shape. It's actually a more aerodynamic car than the Transporter. Now I can describe to you what it looks like in here because we're not allowed to look in here. So you've got the cargo, which is the van version, is 3 abreast optional, 2 as standard. The Buzz people carriers, 2 seats, nice armrests, big centre console. I can see the infotainment looks the same as all the other ID cars. The steering wheel looks the same as the other ID cars. And then as standard, the Buzz MPV will be 5 seats, so just 3 across the back on an adjustable rail. I believe you'll be able to order it as a 7 as well after the launch. The prices of VW T6s, you know, the money people want to spend, certainly in the UK, for heavily spec T6s has gone crazy. You were saying the Multivan, which is the sort of the most recent iteration of the T6, you can buy a plug-in hybrid version, and that is available for just under £50,000.
More or less 52, 53 in Germany, and this is the range we are aiming for this one. So pricing is not yet finalized, but just to give you an idea where to look at in the price range, this is what we are talking about.
Warranty and things like that, is it the same as the other battery?
Of course.
So that's 8 years on the high voltage?
8 years, 160,000 kilometers, 80%, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. There's absolutely no doubt that if you get the options right and the basics right of the car, is there any talk of recycled fibres inside?
We have several of recycled materials built in this car. It's a part of the concept of this beautiful ID Buzz interior design. We have some plastics from the oceans recycled. We have some fibers from plants. Instead of using leather, we have a whole vegan interior concept for this one.
Okay.
Even though the steering wheel is feeling like it could be leather, it's not.
This is not leather?
No, it's not. It's all vegan.
Okay, that does feel like leather. I thought that was leather.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's nice. I'm getting a bit of lane keep assist.
Yeah.
And I'm also noticing that the visibility here is really good. These pillars feel quite thin as a driver, which is good because a lot of these pillars over the years have become massive. So that window is actually quite a valuable window for Viz.
Yeah.
And I've got no idea where the wipers are because I can't see them. Are they down there? They're down in the scuttle?
They are down there.
Okay. Now, no performance figures have been released for this car, but I'm going to just give it a little punch. Because the entry-level motor for this, is it 150 kilowatts?
It is.
Yeah. And is it exactly the same motor as what's in the ID.4, ID.3?
Yeah.
Same motor?
This is what we were talking about when saying it's MEB based. So we grab from the shelves whatever you need, and the engine you mentioned for the ID.4 is similar to that one.
Yes. So when did you start working at Volkswagen?
Ages ago. I contracted in the late 90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Mark IV Golf era, would that be T4?
Yeah,
van?
yeah.
T4 van. I want to ask you about the load capacity and the cargo element of the cargo. Because I'm not allowed in there, I'm not allowed to open the sliding door. If we're allowed to use B-roll of that, we will. But what are the main features, measurements, loads of this?
The key features are always the capacity itself. We are talking about 4 cubic meters, which is quite large for a car like this size. We have a total length of 2.2 meters with additional 45 centimeters beneath my seat. If you have, for example, some long pipes to carry, you can just put them underneath.
That's interesting. So there's a trap door that you can.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
so it goes underneath.
So it's very helpful if you have, as I just said, shelves or pipes.
Wood pipes.
Something very long to carry. It's more than 1.2 meters wide, which is helpful for carrying those Euro pallets.
Yeah.
Standardized. We have the capacity for getting 2 of them in the back, which is helpful either for those commercial customers are relying to it to have a huge capacity in the back. You have several hinges and knobs to string all this down to fix it.
Oh, lash downs. Yeah.
So
2 Euro pallets, extra 45 centimeters.
Correct.
Of length. What's the overall length of the
2.2 meters
2.2.
Plus 45 if you need to.
Right. Okay. There are 7 USB-C ports in here, including inside the doors, which I thought was quite neat. You've got the voice control, which I don't care about. You've got the full width LED light inside the car, so that when you're doing indicators and talking to the car or trying to tee up music, that can change. Inductive phone charging, that sort of stuff. I'm really impressed that they've kept this shape, though, I have to say. That with some neater wheels, more kind of classic wheels. I'm not going to lie. The reason why I've been I've been waiting so patiently for this, because I think this could be my perfect family car. I want a fully electric family car. But what I do want is I want a box that maximises practicality. I want that with a tow bar, with a bike rack capability, And then if you want to, they will be selling a California camper version almost certainly, but I probably won't go down that road because that'll end up costing like 80 grand or something daft. What it does feel is it feels light, which is difficult for an EV to achieve, knowing what we know with batteries being heavier than engines typically. But I guess the weight is all under the load floor, isn't it?
It is. It's like we call it a skateboard system. You have the combination of a huge battery with a very low gravity center, which is combined in this car with a very high seating position. And this is why it feels so light and agile, just because you were at the really front end of this car seating and have this very low gravity center, as I just said. A good combination for this. When you have your solar panels on your home, for example, this car will be able to have a thing called Bi-Directional Charging, which is that you can just give back the energy from the ID bus back to your home.
Yes.
And this is the combination we are talking about. And this is quite interesting either. So it's a more or less a buffer. I don't know how to say. You can just
it's that flexibility, I suppose, of if you want to, if the car's fully charged and you know you don't need it for much, you can feed power back into your house.
Correct.
CCS charging, I've noticed, obviously, DC rapid charge. I know there's not been an official release on the speed, but your colleague, also called Marcus, said 130 kilowatts was the
135 kilowatts shall be achieved. And this is our calculation, not approved yet, but shall be reachable.
What I'm feeling is, I'm going to go around the roundabout just to get a bit of extra feeling here. I feel like I'm just driving a car.
Good.
I mean, there's a van in front of me, that's a big van. This does not feel like a van. I know it's not a big van anyway, but it utterly drives like a car. It feels firm but not crashy, even though this is the cargo version, it's unladen. I have to say, it feels lovely. And I've been waiting so long, and I've been hoping that you guys at VW deliver this buzz thing as we saw it in 2017. I've been really worried, because to me it's more important to get the basics right, like the range and the suspension feel and the posture of the seat, because these seats, there's an ergonomic seating option, I think, or unless it's as standard. That stuff more so than the loads of tech. I know there's tech in an EV, that's obvious.
It's the feeling of this car. I'm as I just said, since ages working for this company, and I'm truly in love with all generations of the VW bus. And I think this is a true, so to say, new bus, and this is the feeling I'm having when always entering this car or seeing this one passing by. This is the bus, and this is what I really like it.
It's got charisma. It's not a retro, is it? Although it obviously is influenced by parts of the history of it.
Of course it is.
It's a very futuristic looking thing.
It's a cruiser, but it's fast. We're talking about 200 horsepower, which is obviously a well-powered car. And if I counted it right, it's more or less 7 seconds. From 0 to
that's good.
60 miles, which is obviously good.
What's the performance of this? Have you revealed the performance of this?
The high speed or what?
Yeah, acceleration.
It's high speed will be 145 kilometers per hour.
Okay.
And range, as we have talked about, is clarified. And the 0 to 60 miles per hour, which is always interesting.
Yes.
It's not officially announced yet, but it will be good.
Yeah, it's absolutely fine. I'm just going to test the 0 to 60.
Ah, there you go.
Just while we've got a nice clear bit of road. So up to 100 Ks. Done. Yeah. So not lightning fast. We're not talking about Tesla ludicrous mode. That is not what this spec of vehicle is about.
No, but this is no car for this. It's a cruiser, but it's fast. We're talking about 200 horsepower, which is obviously a well-powered car. And if I counted it right, it's more or less 7 seconds.
Okay.
From 0 to
that's good.
60 miles, which is obviously good.
That's for something of this class and this style. That's absolutely fine. What I'm interested in that VW's announced with the Buzz is this idea of hassle-free charging, where the plug of the car is recognised by the public rapid chargers.
Correct.
And so you don't need lots of apps and cards, which is a real complicated.
Which is always a mess. And
it is.
With this feature, we call it plug and charge.
Yeah.
Your car is able to transmit all the owner's information to the infrastructure.
Yeah.
So it's easy as hell. Just plug in, charge, and paid will be online.
I have a feeling that when the configurator goes live for this, it's going to be an interesting way to spend a few hours. I'm going to be very intrigued to see that. You've got things like lane keep assist and the industry standard things like the autonomous emergency braking and things, but this has a semi-autonomous driving capability. Is that right? Or?
In a way. Parking assistance plus, where you can just memorize your own movements. For example, if you have a house with a very narrow road to pass to get into the garage, you can just show up your ID bus how to go there, press the memory button, and it will do it by itself afterwards.
So like a memory seat, like an electric memory seat.
Correct.
You do the thing, hold it, and it will go, that's how I want you to park outside my house.
Absolutely,
wow,
correct.
That's cool.
In addition, we have some, we call it swarm data AI. What's that? Normally, if you have your lane assist, you are orientated on the markings, and could be that it's not the best way to go there on the highway, for example, when it's has those bumpy elements in it, and you have some other ID bus driving this road some days earlier, and they recognize it, and the driver itself put the car a little bit out of the center due to better comfort on the road. This one will this message will so to say transfer to others. Other ID buses, and they can interpret this beforehand.
The light, the LED, all of them got LED lights, but the matrix system is optional, isn't it?
It is.
Sort of intelligent matrix system. And am I right in thinking that, like the other ID models, where there's a light bar on the dashboard?
Yeah.
Which talks to you about indicators, maybe the phone call coming through. That's going to be the same on this.
Yeah.
How good is the turning circle on this?
11 meters. It's more or less turning on itself.
That's
right?
amazing. That's
very agile. It's one benefit you earn due to the fact that you have no motor in front. You can just tilt the front wheels even more.
That's impressive. I guess you guys are about to ramp up. Has production actually started in Hannover for this yet?
Pre-production, and in a few weeks' time we will start the serial production either.
Okay.
World premiere will be on March 9.
Yeah.
Starting of September, October, something like that, depending on the market.
I see the cult status of the T4, T5, T6 diesel vans. But for me, as interesting as they are, I've always thought I want that in electric. I don't want the diesel van. And for me, I know this will be available as a twin motor 4-wheel drive option. I just want this purity. I want the motor at the back. I want maximum cargo space or people space. So you'll be able to get a bigger battery version. You'll be able to get probably a smaller battery version. You'll be able to get a faster one, twin motor, like we could call it a 4Motion or a synchro. I can't remember. Do you still call them synchros? I can't remember. Without wanting to sound Alan Partridge, there's a real buzz around the VW buzz. And rightly so. I, for one, have been waiting for this car for a long time, and I'm a tough critic because I guess I'm a bit of a purist for the classic VWs. Having taken this out for a drive, though, it feels right. It feels like a car. EV lends itself perfectly to this sort of vehicle. And if there's any car out there that's going to make MPVs cool again, it's got to be the VW Buzz. We don't know how expensive this car is going to be, but I reckon it's going to start at 50 grand. But there's people out there spending way more than that on T6s, which aren't even a patch on this technologically or looks-wise, in my opinion. Anyway, what do you think about the ID Buzz? I'd love to know your comments. As usual, thank you for watching this episode of The Late Break Show. If you support this channel via Patreon, much appreciated. I will put a link in the description below if you want to know more about that. All that's left to say is that in about 2 weeks after you watching this, you will see the finished version of this, but I think I know what it's going to be like. Thanks for watching.